Today on the Topic Show, Taylor Swift says F the Patriarchy even though she's worth more than $1 billion. Biden bans Russia-based antivirus company Kaspersky. The White House also appoints a non-binary individual to their new Associate Communications Director role. The Bugatti Tourbillion hybrid is revealed. Anti-Israeli protesters attack Jews in front of a synagogue in Los Angeles going viral. The top 10 cars to exceed 200,000 miles. New York Gotham restaurant to shut down after a cyber attack. And a phone charging company, MyCharge, is recalling over 500,000 devices due to a risk of fire. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. I see he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers at the end of the month. So if you could click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have a New York, Gotham-based restaurant. Well, they are shut down after a cybercrime. And granted, I'm not sure if the restaurant was truly based. They're just actually headquartered and based in New York. But nevertheless, going to the actual article, this is coming us thanks to David Proper at the New York Post. And they say that, quote, New York City's ritzy Gotham restaurant was forced to close after falling to a victim to a $45,000 cybercrime, which is quite heartbreaking to say the least. They say that the restaurant is forced to shut down after the cybercrime, and now its co-owner is warning other businesses it should look out. And of course, there's the cliche payroll attack, which is one of the most common ways to go after you. The owner, or co-owner rather, Brett Sinisky says, quote, we just couldn't keep our payroll going. We don't have enough money, so we're pausing. In a recent interview, which here's how, as youth might say, it went down. The saga started for the upscale eatery on May 10th, a Friday, when a thief pretending to work for a company Gotham uses to administer payroll emailed the owner and his HR staffer to tell them that the firm was changing their banking information because of internal issues, which the red flag number one, they're doing stuff on a Friday, which most people, I would say a lot of people, their guards are down because, again, they just want to get home. Their brain is already on the weekend. Now, they got another big red flag, has to do with payroll. Now, the HR staffer contacted the owner to take a look at the request. He going through past emails and appeared to be an employee that they typically talk to from the payroll company. So this is a pretty advanced impersonation attempt or attack. This malicious actor knew exactly who this person was working for, which, if you break into someone's email, rudimentary speaking, hacking their email, look at other things that they've gone through, the contacts. Now, he said, quote, and then, this is heartbreaking. So they got this email saying, hey, yeah, we have new payroll, we have new banking, so you need to send us the money to this new address. So the owner says, quote, and then I wired the money to the new account with the company name and their address. It's not until several hours later we realized that something seems a little weird, unquote. Which, again, never, ever, ever do this, and it's heartbreaking because, again, they're literally going out of business because of cybercrime. And granted, I care a little bit more than the average person, probably because I'm biased. I do this for a living as well. But the number one advice I can tell people is, and again, there's no such thing as a perfect defense from cyber attacks or cyber criminals. It's the ultimate cat and mouse game, which is partially why I find it so fascinating. But anytime money is involved, especially when you have two things. So you have one, they're changing the banking information. That's a big red flag. And then this is right before they have to send them a bunch of money as well. Just pick up the phone and call them. It takes, on average, less than 60 seconds, but it could save your company. And granted, even that's not perfect. Maybe they put a fake new phone number in their signature. But yeah, anytime money's involved, give that person a call. I mean, ideally, if you have an alternative way to communicate with them, I mean, ideally you're friends with them, maybe on social media or maybe a professional website like LinkedIn. Maybe send them a message, or Microsoft Teams chat. Which again, even those can be suspicious as well if it's out of the normal. But again, this has so many red flags, and yeah, it literally could just take pick up phone and call the original company, say, hey, are you really changing your bank for information? We've been doing this for years. Why are you doing this? Is this because Silicon Valley Bank went, belly up? So that makes sense. Maybe you're going somewhere else. Or has someone maybe hacked your system and you didn't even know it? I mean, we don't even know yet. And granted, given the small fiscal amount relative to the total FBI's, current workload, I doubt this gets a a big full report. They say that they filed this with the FBI, but again, they're also dealing with malicious attacks that are in the hundreds of millions, even greater. And he said, "quote," this is again from the owner, "When you look at it, no one would notice it normally, but eventually we're going to dig into why it's happening when we found the difference. He contacted the bank, but so far the financial institution has not recovered the money. He's surprised banks do more safeguard. Yeah, they don't do more. Well, that is why there's also a big warning label. And again, I'm overly bombastic, and again, there's many reasons why this part of the show today is more. I'm more involved or connected with than usual because again, I do it for a living, and I know people have lost their livelihoods because of cyber crimes and cyber attacks like this. And again, the banks really don't care. That's why there's a big warning label that says if you're about to wire someone's money, hey, this is your money. The risk is all on you. Once the money goes, it's gone. Again, one of the reasons why some of my clients, again, I won't say their names, but there is an upside of using a gold old-fashioned check. Some people might think it's rudimentary or outdated, but you know what? Depending on the situation, and granted, it's not as convenient. Absolutely agree with that. But sometimes it makes sense just to drive to your customer or have them, again, mailing it to you. That's also a threat vector. Maybe they intercept the mail. But again, I know a lot of companies that still use checks because they perceive it as being a safer option and less risky. Now, of course, check fraud is a huge thing. There's a whole movie made out of it called Catch Me If You Can, which another tale for another time, perhaps. Now, in terms of many people may ask, well, why don't they have cyber insurance? That's a very common business practice these days. I mean, a lot of companies have. A lot of companies actually will not do business to business if you actually do not have a specific policy for that. And a lot of companies will even get general. There's a lot of reasons why this, is a whole industry in and of itself. Now, the last quote he got, again, Gotham got a quote for cyber insurance policy. It will cost $5,000 a year, which, again, being a restaurant, that is, I'm guessing, prohibitively expensive. There's many restaurants, it's a very small margin. But granted, apples to oranges, or perhaps filet mignon to rudimentary hamburger, McDonald's to this place. I mean, both McDonald's is all volume business, make a little bit, and it goes up, over time. But in this case, depending on how much you're paying for the ingredients, because then it's a higher end restaurant, you're also paying more for all the ingredients, the materials, the talent, the people, the atmosphere. I can't imagine what the rent is just for this place in New York, because again, that's one of the most expensive places to live. And then of course you have to go, they have to burn some taxes, you have the payroll taxes. And unfortunately, one of the first things companies cut or they just don't entertain is sometimes cybersecurity insurance. And they say, really heartbreaking. He says, quote, "Please know this was a difficult decision. It was not made lightly. Business levels and recent cyber deception incident resulted in a large loss, made it necessary for us to pause operations and consider options. Please know I'm deeply appreciative of every employee, and I'm sorry for any distress this may cause. I do hope all will consider rejoining Gotham end of summer." So, again, hope it's been in business for 40 years. They closed for 2 years during the pandemic. They plan to reopen, but yeah, I just, unfortunately, I don't know. I guess unless they get a big lifeline. Again, who knows? Maybe they get really lucky and one of the top patrons is very philanthropic and they could throw some money at this. Because I mean, again, I'm not sure if that was a whole year's payroll. I'm not sure what that dollar amount is relative to the business operational cost. But again, especially if you work in accounting or if you work in payroll, if you have anything to do with sending and receiving money, especially in a business perspective, I mean, always look out for these big giant red flags, and always. And again, a lot of people don't even make phone calls these days. A lot of people think it's a rudimentary technology. Just take those 60 seconds to pick up the phone. I cannot tell you how many stories I've heard of companies saving hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars throughout the years, just by calling a person and say, "Hey, just want to make sure, is this you, Bobby, or is this you, Sean?" And it is. I mean, they've told me it's like having a bucket of water, ice water, thrown on your heart when they say, "Oh no, it's not me." So they know they've had a security breach, and then they have to go in not simple sales like talking technologies, reach out to companies like mine. They can do remediation, analysis, then secure the environment. So definitely make sure you look out for those. Ideally, take some cybersecurity awareness training. But yeah, always be vigilant. And I mean, hopefully, I don't know if they'll actually make a comeback at this restaurant, but as always, vigilance is key. Other interesting business news, you have the Bugatti Tourbillion being revealed. It is a hybrid with a V16 though, and a $4 million price tag. Even though it is called the Tourbillion, you only need $4 million to purchase this work of art. though. You know me, to me it's a little bit blasphemous or bastardized since it's an automatic. I know the Bugatti have been automatic for what, 50 plus years, something like that. But, oh no, actually, no, not the EB 110. That was a manual transmission, as all cars should be. But nevertheless, this comes to us thanks to Motor1.com, and it looks pretty cool. It's got 16 cylinders. That's a good part. It also has 3 electric motors. Now, top speed is pretty fun. 276 miles per hour. And it looks pretty incredible. Oh, it's a 6-minute video, so we're not going to watch the whole thing of their review. We'll look at the pictures and we'll do little highlights here. There's a nice little top-down picture. Interestingly enough, if you're just tuning in, you're not visualizing seeing the show today, the windshield wiper, to me, one of the weirdest things about this, it actually looks perfectly. It completes the design when it's in the center because there's almost like a spine going along the whole vehicle, and the windshield wiper, and there's just one giant blade. So the pivot point is in the middle of the car, and it's set so the blade is dividing the window in half, so it's perfectly in the center, and that theme is carried to the hood. So the hood has a little spine as well. It looks really weird, but the more I see it, the more it kind of grows on me. It's one of those unique designs. Now, granted, I think it's mostly blasphemous. It's got the hybrid mode, and then it's got its pros and cons. Now, granted, there is zero reason for Bugatti to take any of my feedback. I mean, I drive a Honda Civic Si with a stick shift. I'm definitely not their core clientele. That's way out of my price point for foreseeable future, unless I get very, very fortunate things to happen. Now, this is an article brought to us by Christopher Smith over at, again, Motor1.com. I'll read a couple little tidbits here. They say, quote, "This is not another Bugatti Citroen derivative. This is certainly a striking resemblance to the old W16 power hypercar, but now it's a completely new beast. The monocoque is new, the suspension is new, and the sorry, I almost threw up my mouth. The hybrid V16 powertrain is most definitely new. Say hello to Bugatti's next generation 1,800 horsepower flagship, the Tourbillion. The previous reports about the engine were true. This is, in fact, an 8.3-liter monster that revs up to 9,500 RPM and makes 1,000 horsepower without any turbochargers. Cosworth helped develop the naturally aspirated beast, which weighs just 555 pounds despite being significantly larger than the W16 it replaces. This is also about 664 foot-pounds of torque, but of greater interest here is the other half of the powertrain." Lies. That last part is me. Lies. I don't think anyone cares about that, personally. But we'll read that for the 3 people who do want to hear that about that. I'm kidding. I know there's 4 people who want to hear the specifics about this. Now, they say, quote, "We're talking about the hybrid assistance. The front E axle carries 2 electric motors, with a third motor positioned in the back to help spin the rear wheels. At 25 kilowatts an hour, centrally mounted battery pack supplies power, adding 800 horsepower to the mix. The combined output is 1,800 horsepower, and provided the bespoke Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires, they have enough grip. The Tourbillion reaches 62 miles an hour." The hell cares about that? Oh yeah, it's a European car. That is correlated to 100 kilometers per hour. So 0 to 62 miles per hour is 2 seconds, which is ridiculously good. They say, but that's not a proper metric to convey the Tourbillion's pure performance. Under full throttle, 124 miles per hour, it reached at around 5 seconds. 185 miles per hour rise in mere 10 seconds. Top speed of 236 miles per hour happens in less than 25 seconds. Unless you have the special key installed. When activated, the Tourbillon keeps its ginormous rear wing hunkered down with speed that climbs up to 276 miles per hour. And it does carry a lot of the themes of old. I mean, it is an entirely new infrastructure, it sounds like, in terms of the actual, engine, transmission, but definitely you kind of see the Chiron themes. So at the side of the car, you see that very iconic little swoop. So there's a little bit of carryover. Looks a little bit more angular in front. They expanded the air intake part. You saw the iconic Bugatti badge there. To me, the rear just looks a little weird. The exhaust is pushed up. Now got an awesome, carbon fiber rear diffuser. The exhaust is almost in the middle. So again, traditionally you have the exhaust, you actually see the tips, and they're usually at the bottom of the car, like, in terms of the bottom of the bumper. This one is really high up in the middle. Very similar to the last design where you have some nice little LED or little lights on it. Looks like it's got the good old pop-up doors, just like I would say the better car, the McLaren F1, the OG supercar that had a good old V12 and a stick shift, as all cars should have by default. And of course, there's little themes carry over with that. It looks pretty interesting with those kind of pop-up windows, so to say. And it looks it looks kind of neat. And they say that the latest Bugatti doesn't lose anything in becoming a hybrid. Well, except a little bit of weight. Yes, despite the battery pack and electric motors, Bugatti says the Tourbillion is lighter than the Chiron. Well, yes, because, well, you add a subtract, you're adding the battery, you're adding the motors and the batteries, you're certainly subtracting from somewhere else. So I'm guessing increased uses of carbon fiber and other advanced materials. They say that it can currently cruise around town using the V16, which, again, that is pretty cool. That is pretty rare. A predominantly majority of engines, might be heartbreaking to think in the U.S. might be an inline four by now in terms of volume of units sold, but the most popular configuration in the U.S. in terms of America probably be the V8, where you have 4 cylinders on each side in a V configuration. And granted, this might be rudimentary if you're a gearhead, but traditionally having 16 cylinders is most well known in the W configuration. And having this as a V16, that is pretty cool and unique. I'm really trying to think how many times you see that on a. Again, this is not going to be a mass production car, but that is pretty neat to say the least. Now, again, this next sentence is written for the one person who's going to buy this. Probably, I say that one person is going to buy this. I think many people who tune into the show will actually have the opportunity to buy this for your trajectory. I won't be too surprised. But in terms of the people who care about this one sentence, that has to be like one person on the planet, maybe two. Now they say, quote, actually, it can go beyond town with an estimated EV range of 37 miles. So if you want to just use the EV part of the car and not use the V16, is almost I can't. It's almost incomprehensible to have a V16 and only use the electric part. Now, the nice part in terms of technology is they're allowing you to choose. So they're letting you actually, they have a little cute little dial, and you can choose exactly how this vehicle operates. So you can choose, ICE only. So if you only want to use a V16, you could have that. If you want to use a hybrid, we have both combined, you can do that. And then, of course, for some reason, if you wanted to use this just as an EV for that 37 miles, I guess you could technically do that for the one person who wants that. Now, they also say that it also uses a 800-volt system. And the nice thing is that, again, this has a nice engine. I say that because the person who took over the company is Matt Rumack, which I apologize if I'm not pronouncing his name properly. He's known for having a supercar company that makes EVs. So the fastest EV on the planet was, I believe, his hypercar. And again, I'm not a big fan of EVs, but in terms of the technology and top speed, it is pretty cool what he's done for his company. So a lot of people were worried, well, what's he going to do with Bugatti, however you pronounce it or prefer to pronounce it. And thankfully, he had a great, 6-minute interview. Just go on the internet, you can see, his whole proper interview. And he does say how he wanted to take it into account the vast history of Bugatti, what the customer base wants, what the expectations are. Because I think he knew if he would just make an EV Bugatti, it would probably only sell 3 units, maybe 4 if maybe a Saudi prince is drunk or something. No one really wants it. Again, the heritage of the Bugatti is a big engine, massive power, and breaking world records. Now, to me, it also should have a stick shift, like the good old iconic. Well, it wasn't really iconic. Actually, it was a fiscal commercial failure. But the EV was the EB110 for the Bugatti in the '90s era. But again, I know I'm the minority here. Just I know only a couple of people want stick shifts. I know these days, and it will be interesting. Now, again, in terms of craftsmanship, the mechanisms they have, and again, if you're just this is one of the few episodes where you really should be watching the show either on YouTube or the Big Green Competitor, where apparently if you just say that word, you get shadow banned, which Lord knows I have because one of my videos got like 1 view, which is statistically impossible. But nevertheless, the instrumentation panel, there's no BS LCD monitors visible. They do have one that pops up in the middle, but a majority of the controls are all analog. And impressively enough, they used a watch mechanism for the torque reader and the mile per hour reader. The whole instead of the traditional dash where you have, more often than not, currently you just have a fancy screen that'll tell you the key stuff. This actually has, I would argue, a work of art. And they're actually working with a Swiss watchmaker to have these custom mechanisms created. And again, when during the interview they asked him why would you do this? And why don't? Because again, big trend nowadays is have the big OLED screens that are the size of the whole dashboard, which I think is kind of trash because it'll probably break, like electronics inherently do. But nevertheless, when asked about this, he said, "Hey, we're designing a car that's going to be around for 50 to 100 years. We need to take into account what are some things that are timeless, and watch mechanisms certainly are. The Rolex Submariner, that design has not changed much in decades and decades and decades. And when you see one to this day, they don't look too dated. Or you could just say my Garmin's pretty timeless as well. Huh, that's a joke, because, yeah, that's the butt of a lot of jokes with me and my friends. But nevertheless, the amount of craftsmanship they're putting in this vehicle is quite impressive, to say the least. Now, they do have a little screen that will, again, it's very well hidden. It's in the center console, which, I mean, the center console is actually, again, it's a work of art. Everything is so well designed. And then, if you want, I think you press a button and the screen pops up and then reorients itself to be from phone mode to landscape mode, or however you prefer the vernacular for that orientation of the screen. It is pretty darn cool, to say the least. And here's another couple pictures of it. Now, of course, it's, let's see here. He also said, again, this is the current CEO, Mate Rimac. He says, the development of the Bugatti Tourbillion was guided at every step by the 115 years of Bugatti history and the words of Ettore Bugatti himself, which, and I guess his mantra is, quote, his mantra is, if comparable, it is no longer Bugatti, nothing too beautiful. Were a guide path for me personally, as well as the design and the engineering teams looking to create the next exciting era in the Bugatti hypersport car category, or sorry. Now, they say that production won't begin until 2026, with the first 250 production cars delivered. Right now, the Tourbillion is currently in its testing phase to save. So to start, yeah, so they're saying, start saving up now. Yeah. Again, it looks amazing. Of course, personally, let's see, a nice couple pictures here on the monitor for us to see. I mean, it looks very familiar. It looks very familiar. Now, again, I know I'm only one of 3 people who, granted, I don't have the ability to buy it, but I can't help but think the only thing they could have done is to make this even more, more iconic, I would say, is have the option for the stick shift. You're not going to sell all units. I know that, although Gordon Murray would probably beg to differ with his new updated model. But again, to me, and a lot of people would say, you can't have that much horsepower with the stick shift. It's not as fast as a computer, as some might say. But to me, part of a for me, I mean, it almost would feel like it's part of this design. Because again, they're trying to make it timeless. And another issue about this hybrids and the batteries, all that crap, or junk, whatever you call it, it's not timeless. It's going to break. I mean, you look at the McLaren P1. Again, many people say that's a great hypercar. It's iconic. I mean, it's nothing like the F1 in many ways. But, I mean, Tavares, one of the famous YouTubers, when he was restoring the flood car, one of the biggest costs was the batteries. The batteries on those things to replace cost more than my car. Threefold. And granted, I don't have a fancy car, just a Honda Civic Si. I love that little thing. Good old Gen 10. It's green. I was about to say, as all cars should be, but then it wouldn't be as unique. Well, that'd be a hilarious, bizarre world if all cars are green. But I partially digress. I mean, yeah, to me, that would be the Achilles heel of why EVs will be a hard long-term collectible, or why some collectors might not even get to that category. Because again, those technologies will inherently just break down. And how do you replace a battery that's been out of production for 50 years? That's another question to be had. But I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they'll sell out every single one of these units for the newest Bugatti. But let me know, do you think it's a big improvement on the design? Are you a big fan of it? Do you think any other company will overtake them as kind of the iconic top car on the planet? Let me know in the comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news. I saw an interesting article about the longest lasting vehicles to hit 200,000+ miles, according to Consumer Reports. Spoiler alert, only one was, just coincidentally, only one was manufactured, I believe, by a unionized company. Spoiler is the Ford F-150. Or some people call it the Ford F-150. Nevertheless, this is brought to us by Jeremy Solanchi over at The Street. And I just thought it was pretty interesting, because again, I don't know, granted, when I buy something, I want to make it last as long as possible, so I bought a Honda Civic with a stick shift, of course. I mean, Honda's pretty, well, I was going to say, spoiler alert, they're on this list quite a lot. Now, going down, and again, this is based on a 2022 survey by Statista, talking about longevity. Now, one of the first cars, going down here, what do you think is going to be the first one? The first one is the Toyota Camry, which kind of be I want to say it's a little heartbreaking, but there's more and more of those becoming hybrids. Granted, the original Camry had a V6 and like 4 options, I believe. And yeah, with hybrids, it won't last as long, won't be as reliable. But nevertheless, this is the 2022 Camry. Gets 32 miles per gallon, which I don't know how anyone. I guess some people care about that. Number 2, the Toyota Prius. Another Toyota. Coincidence? I think not. Again, I don't get paid by them, but that'd be kind of nice. What would I want if they were to give me an endorsement deal? Probably a Mark IV Supra, a vintage car. No, but that's just me. Nevertheless, Toyota Prius, 51 miles per gallon. The Honda Accord, which I think they just killed the stick shift, so they're dead. They're dead to me in terms of that model. So again, given the Honda Accord, my parents bought a 2001 Honda Accord new. It still runs like a champ, and that thing's been through the test of time. It's been in the Midwest driving through salt and all that other crap. So yeah, not surprised to see the good old Honda Accord. And you can go back to the consumer score, so we'll do that too. So the Camry had an overall consumer report score of 88. Prius had an overall consumer report score of 80. Honda Accord had a consumer report score of 78. Coming in at number 4 is the Honda CR-V, which is their little SUV thingamajig. Unfortunately, automatic only. Heartbreaking. Now, that got its consumer report score of 85. The Toyota Tacoma, overall score not available. It's just that good. It's off the charts, some might say. I might be a little biased because it's the only truck you can buy in the United States with a third pedal, also known as a stick shift, also known as a manual transmission, also known as the most fun you'll have driving, bar none. If I won the lottery, I would definitely, in my my garage, I would definitely have one of the new Tacomas. You could also get it in green as well, which is a bonus for like the 8 people who want green cars like me. That would be pretty cool. Again, it's so sad. There's only one truck in the United States you can buy new with a stick shift. That's blasphemous to me. That is ridiculous. I think so. Dodge. And fun fact, I think Dodge of the big three being Ford, General Motors, and Dodge. Dodge was the last company to offer a stick shift. Someday. That's going down to number 6. You have Toyota Tundra, the full-size pickup, which unfortunately is automatic only and V6 only. Yeah, blasphemous to say the least to have a full-size truck with a V6. Granted, I know Dodge is going to the V6 for the 1500 series, which I think they're just bullying people to buy the 2500 and 3500, which do come with a V8, as many people would say all trucks should. And those old Tundras, I got a couple of friends with the Tundras from, what was it, the 08 era? There's a couple of those have that vehicle. I mean, and again, they had some issues when they first came out with the V8 on the truck. Many companies do when they have a debut of a new model. But yeah, you get a good old Tundra with a V8 that's from a non-problematic year, which there are only a couple. Those things are workhorses. They just never break. They're darn near bulletproof. Thrown down, what's number 7? Oddly enough, they only got a consumer report score of 54. And again, that was the Toyota Tundra. Number 7 is the Toyota Corolla, which is a cool car because you can get the GR edition, which comes with a stick shift, 3 tailpipes or 3 exhaust tips, and I forget the horsepower, but they actually have a track package where or at least in Texas, I would say the great state, or some might argue the great country of Texas, you actually get a free NASA membership, which is a great fun racing organization. Not a paid endorsement or not a paid ambassador, but just a fan. I like going. They actually you get this stick shift, fun hot hatch, and they give you a free class to learn how to drive it with an instructor to sit with you every step of the way. That is a unique, cool experience. It's something that, again, GM and Ford, as far as I know, no longer do anymore. Cadillac Blackwing does have there's a one-off class, I think. But the Camaro's dead. I don't know who buys the Corvette since it only has 2 pedals. But nevertheless, the Toyota Corolla comes in, and that got an overall consumer report score of 75. What's going to be number 8? Maybe the Ford Focus. Ha, that's a joke. It was so bad they stopped making it in North America. Number 8 comes in at Honda Odyssey again. The Odyssey. That minivan, huge. Granted, it's only automatic and it's a minivan, so I would never buy it. But nevertheless, overall consumer report score of 76 for the Honda Odyssey minivan. Which, I don't know. I hate boring colors. There's so many. I swear, again, I don't like to swear. I know statistically speaking, most of the cars sold in the past couple years have been overwhelmingly white, black, and silver. Which to me, I would never want to drive one of those color vehicles. I've had a black car, and they're scratch magnets. You'll see them no matter what. But nevertheless, yeah, not for me. But nevertheless, a great minivan. And yeah, you move a lot of product or people in there, fold down the seats. Yeah, automatic only, so disappointing. But yeah, I can't believe my friends got a Honda Odyssey a couple years ago. Those things cost as much as a Corvette these days. Like, geez Louise, they've gotten pricey. But nevertheless, great reliable vehicle. They got a overall Consumer Reports score of 76 for the Honda Odyssey. What will the next car be? Will it be the Mustang? Will it be another? Will it be maybe it'll be a Chevrolet? Maybe. No, it's a joke. Obviously not. Coming in at number 9 is the Ford F-150. Ironically, they show the F-150 Lightning, which again is not very reliable, especially if you want a truck to actually tow stuff and last 300, 400,000 miles and actually work on the farm. Again, like every EV, it has its very specific use cases where it can be helpful. But yeah, it's ironic that they use the picture of. Again, I thought this was a car website, so they call it. They label the picture of the 2022 Ford F-150, but they don't specify it's the Lightning. Which again, if you're seeing the picture, it obviously is because the grill is filled with plastic. There's no, and then you have the big Lightning bar, the headlights is just one giant bar, and then they have a little charging port. For an EV truck, it looks okay. But yeah, that oddly enough, that is deemed reliable. Now of course, the overall Consumer Reports score is 63 again for the Ford F-150, the good old Ford F-150, the most popular truck in the United States, a workhorse from a lot of farms. A lot of people love that truck. Well, a lot of them are pavement queens, let's be honest, and good grocery getters, but nevertheless, they're pretty timeless. Now we have one final vehicle for the top 10 vehicles that are likely to hit 200,000 miles. Maybe it'll be a great Chrysler product. Maybe it'll be a Chevrolet or Cadillac. You know what? Maybe it's a Buick. Or maybe it's a GMC. Maybe a GMC Sierra. Maybe. Or maybe it'll be the GMC Hummer EV. That's a joke. Obviously, it's not made by General Motors. Number 10 for the top cars to hit 200,000 miles is the Toyota 4Runner, which does look pretty cool because it is in green. Obviously, I'm a little biased. That came in with a Consumer Reports score of 63 points. The good old Toyota 4Runner. So I can't help but notice there's a lot of themes here. Let's see. Oh yeah, they're all made by Japanese companies with the exception of the Ford. Now granted, some people might argue what is an American, what is a Japanese company, since, Toyota, I know a lot of friends who consider them American. I know a lot of companies, or a lot of people that consider them Texan, or Texan as some might pronounce it. Because, again, the North America headquarters is in the great city of Plano, Texas, where they employ thousands of Americans. They build a lot of the cars in the United States, more reliably than darn near anyone else. So it'll be interesting to see. Again, I'm not too surprised by this list. A lot of these names are paralleled with other similar lists where you see what are the cars most likely hit 1,000,000 miles. So I'm not too surprised Consumer Reports for finding a lot of these same manufacturers. And again, it's one of those things where it'll be interesting to see, what does the competition do to actually catch up with them? Because again, we've known about this for several years. The models, usually, I'm actually a little disappointed the Civic didn't make it this list. But again, usually the Accord is always there, the Camry is always there. Now, interestingly enough, the Prius, to me, that was the thing that caught me off the guard the most. Because yeah, the Prius is a hybrid technology, and inherently over time the batteries degrade, which means you have to replace it, which can cost a pretty penny. Well, granted, a vintage pretty penny, since modern pennies are 99.99% zinc, also known as trash, fiscally speaking. So it's interesting that the Prius was there. But again, they also had one of the highest scores at 80 points. So it'll be interesting to see what cars come over the next couple of years that are likely to hit 200,000 miles. Really want to know is, I think they just messed up the picture having the Ford F. They messed up the picture. They said F-150 Ford. They didn't say the Ford Lightning, but they used the wrong picture. They used the Lightning picture. Let me know in the comments. Do you think an EV will ever be this reliable? Again, to me, that's one of the biggest Achilles heel of the EV adoption. That's why I would never own one personally. Because again, I also want to have 3 pedals, also known as manual transmission, to have fun. And you can't beat that feeling shifting down gear in a corner at the track. But let me know. Do you think an EV will ever be as reliable as an internal combustion engine? In theory, it should be, as less moving components, is from a certain perspective simpler, even though then you have software integrations. But again, let me know in the comments. As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Culture Part podcast, you have Taylor Swift chanting F the Patriarchy, even though, she's worth $1.3 billion. Which, Yeah, if she's so oppressed, why is she worth more than 99? Well, I don't know the specific statistic, and a vast, overwhelming majority of Americans. Again, I'm not, as youth might say, I'm not hating on her. That's fantastic success. I mean, most people die to have a career that great. I mean, she's gotten millions and billions of people to buy her records, her CDs, her stickers. I don't know what else she sells. I'm sure she has apparel and all that other kind of stuff. I mean, she has had more success as a musician than most people can possibly comprehend. I mean, she is so famous. She even has kitchen appliances named after her. I was at the Walmart a couple weeks ago, and I saw an appliance in the cleaning section called the Swiffer. And I believe they call it the Swiffer Picker Upper. Perhaps, I'm pretty sure it's named after her. Maybe, I mean, she's picked up a lot of men throughout the year. Granted, maybe that's why it's named after her, because they also kind of fall apart and go into the dustbin eventually. But nevertheless, a whole mopping appliance named after her. That's unprecedented success. Not as much success as having a food named after you like topping, but I partially digress. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Ryan Fontier over at X Twitter. And he says, Taylor Swift, a multi-billionaire, gets an entire audience of mainly kids screaming F the Patriarchy, grooming an entire generation to hate men. Well, I was about to say that boat has sailed years ago, but most people don't use what boats these are days. Most people don't use boats. Again, if you click the subscribe button, it may help with my speaking aptitudes. I have a theory. When I first started the show, I had very, very few subscribers, and I spoke very fast, mostly monotone, tripping over my words more than some politicians. And yet, as I gain more subscribers, I become more and more articulate and a better speaker. Granted, some might argue some modicum of improvement, barely anything at all. However, if you click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it, because it will fuel my theory that the more subscribers I've gained, the better I will get at the show. Time, of course, shall tell. Now, going back to Taylor Swift, yeah, the ship has sailed long ago in terms of teaching kids to hate men, especially girls. And yeah, the divide between men and women in the United States is getting worse and worse over time. There are many contributing factors. I think many of them cultural. And yeah, Taylor Swift is definitely not helping. You know, these lies. This is only about 10 seconds long. Hopefully it doesn't have her music. I think it's just her squawking or cheering. And she looks like she's holding a guitar, as well as wearing some red, rudimentary, not really a suit. But I was about to say, I usually say their voice is infinitely better than mine when it comes to, you know, playing a clip on the show. But, well, shoot, let me know. Let me know. Do you think her voice is better than mine? You can be honest. I mean, I mostly sing in the shower, and yeah, but let me know. My ears, they hurt. Oh, that's rough. But we got through it together. Pretty sure this video just gotten taken off down the YouTube. But nevertheless, the music stuff. I was going to say more realistically, if the YouTube algorithm or the YouTube tools forced me to mute that 3 seconds so I could just post a video, you missed her squawking, you know, F the patriarchy. Yeah, F society. The society that's given you pretty much every device you use on a daily basis, as well as the opportunity to become a billionaire by singing and dancing. Here she writes her own songs for that. I know Beyonce does not, and she is useless in terms of, I've never met her, but I've never heard of a more overrated musician than Beyonce. I don't understand the fascination with her. Some people say it's incomprehensible to me why people pay to listen to that. But nevertheless, I know Taylor Swift, I think she does write some of her own music. This went pretty well. I got 3.8 million views and 25,000 likes. Interestingly enough, she's holding a guitar invented by a man. She's wearing clothing. Well, 50-50 shot in terms of who's the actual designer on that. On stage, using a microphone. Using a jet. Yeah, it's funny how much she utilizes inventions of mankind. Going down. Now, we do have one of the first comments being a contrarian comment. Which, again, life gets a little bit boring when you're in an echo chamber. Now, this is Luke Zaleski. He is a famous, well, not famous leftist, but I follow him because he's very much a contrarian of opinion. His claim to fame is he wrote an article about how young boys should not be allowed to play football. He posted that, or he pinned that to the top of his X Twitter profile. And he also, well, he wears a V-neck, and the picture of him on X Twitter is him in a V-neck and is animated. Which, again, a V-neck I think is only appropriate if you're on like the 12th. If you've been married for like 4 years to your wife, you're having like an at-home date, which is kind of cute. You know, have a date at home. I think in that occasion, a V-neck may be appropriate. I mean, the relationship is long established, of course. I mean, as you know, as I know, all men should always suit up. You look better, and all men look good. But nevertheless, Luke Zaleski says, quote, "You'll never convince any MAGA that they're not both the victim and hero in everything. In fact, the core nature of many Trumpers is an absolute absence of self-awareness married to an absolute abundance of self-centeredness, a balanced overconfidence, belligerent expression of id. Oh, that's funny because irony. Now, nevertheless, 216 people did agree with Leeski. Again, it's funny he mentions MAGA. I want to say he's brainwashed as, was it the Trump derangement syndrome, the TDR? I mean, no one here is calling out politics. I don't know if maybe Ryan Frontier is a famous politician. He's a chair of the students for Trump. But in this post, he's talking about Taylor Swift and how she's grooming these young, naive girls to hate men. But that's the first thing Luke. Now, Luke had 18 people respond to him. Did he get ratioed? Let's see. Not really. Oh, really? Oh, we only have one person actually, as youth might say, roasting him. Most of the comments do actually support Luke. Scrolling down more and more, the Texas one says she and her girlfriend are awful role models, getting 303 likes. I mean, Taylor Swift, again, she's made billions of dollars writing songs about picking the wrong man her whole life. Which, again, if you've been wrong, if you keep picking the wrong guys, or quote, quote, the wrong guys, you can't wonder, what's the common denominator? Maybe it's you. Nevertheless, Clown World says she's pathetic, getting 376 likes. Let's see. Axiom says, what a weirdo, all the success and still so profoundly insecure. No one has grifted harder off of the victimhood script than Taylor Swift. No one. She has never experienced any actual adversity or opposition at any point in her career. I've seen it start to finish and been amazed at the whole time she has larped as someone who is held back or held to a double standard. Absolutely absurd. The patriarchy has made everything possible for her, all her dreams, all the stadiums and technology and civilization required for her to be who she is today. All possible because of the world and technology that men built and that men maintain. She is as ungrateful as she is self-deluded. That got 1.7 thousand likes, which, yep. Let's see. Ron Coleman says they don't even know what that word means, getting 3,000 likes. Let's see. Scrolling down here. Genevieve Cluck says boys are watching porn of actual women being, oh geez Louise, cover your ears if you have children listening. Women being choked, slapped, bound, and spit on, and men who call them whores, and worse, but a woman saying no is grooming for a entire generation. What? Mentally vacuous, but got 1.5 thousand likes. So a lot of people did like that. Yeah, and I don't know. Worse, saying no. I mean, the girl's literally saying F the Patriarchy. And, well, I'm not good. We're not, yeah. And again, boys should not be watching that either. That's why most of these websites, especially nowadays with the updated terms and conditions, allegedly, they all have the big disclaimer saying you have to be 18. Now, granted, depending on your state, in the United States it's become a state's issue. You have to enter a ID, I think like a driver's license number or something like that. But that did get 1.5 thousand likes. Going down, you have Chicago One race. They never hated the Chiefs until Taylor Swift became a fan of theirs. You have someone, I'm not sports balls, I don't know what that is, but you have the San Francisco's quarterback with the same team, Jesus, and you have, let's see, is it Taylor Kelsey or Tyler Kelsey? I don't know, her boyfriend with a picture of him getting the jab because he was a spokesman for Pfizer, and Taylor Swift, same vote. That got 1,000 likes. Yeah, the amount of memes from 2020 were almost uncountable. Where again, she's made her whole career choosing the wrong man, and she told people to go out and vote for Biden. There's a lot of memes on that, to say the least. Let's see here. Another contrarian statement, perhaps. Adriano Ferro says, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but hating patriarchy does not mean hating men. Got 933 likes. Scrolling down more and more. See People See says, and yet she would never be where she is today if it wasn't for, you guessed it, patriarchy. Getting 1,000 likes. Jerry D says, a woman who's almost a billionaire against the patriarchy that helped her get here. Getting 187 likes for that. No, she's not almost a billionaire. She's exceeded that. There's a net worth. Which again, I'm not sure that's not liquid. That's not money in the bank. But nevertheless, Flash says, happy to say my granddaughter doesn't like her music. Neither do I. Getting 260 likes. Let's see here. A little mental with Mike says, can't be on the wrong side of this. And it's a A+ because it's a George Orwell quote, the best author ever. And it says, quote, power is in tearing human minds to pieces and putting them together again in a new shape of your own choosing, unquote. Again, that's from George Orwell's brilliant book, 1984, which is supposed to be a telling tale of how not to do humanity. and is very much dystopian and depressing. And it's even more depressing when you read the book and find out that modern society is much worse with more oppressive governments. That quote did get 102 likes. Lucy Rowell says, I'm sure her father, who provided her childhood dream, must be so proud of her. Getting 8 likes, which I think is an important note. You start looking at Taylor Swift's, past, and look at her past. Did she go to every dive bar and struggle to work and get on stage and really hustle to get where she was, or did she have a lot of money and people backing her and a lot of doors opened? Let's see here. Scrolling down more and more. Let's see. Dominic Michael says the idol worship makes me sick. 106 like. Any contrarian statements? Infosec Mike says, who runs the adult entertainment industry, getting 32 likes. There. I was gonna say I thought it was MindGeek, the parent company in Canada. Here. Christy says, who says this statement at concert? Red flag, red flag. Got 49 likes. I forget which comedian this is. Got a big fro with glasses. White guy. He did suit up as all men should. Oh, Atticus has a gif of him rather looking confused all around. Atticus says, the dad that's had to bring their daughters. Yeah. That's why, again, you should filter your music before you let your kids listen in, just like any other piece of media. I got 70 likes. And the only thing more entertaining than the hypocrisy of this would be Taylor Swift complaining about climate change and emissions and all that stuff when she spends most of her life on a private jet. Which, yeah. Remember, rules for thee, but not rules for ye and not for thee. Ye? What's Kanye up to these days? Nevertheless, ADHD aside, let me know. And again, I don't think this actually have any dent in her sales. The people who love her regardless of any statement she seems to make. It'll be interesting to see, does she play a role in terms of politics this year? Will she again endorse Joe Biden? I mean, I highly doubt she'd actually endorse Trump or anything like that. Again, there are millions of Americans who are very culturally influenced. They will vote based on what their celebrities tell them to or what they say they're doing themselves. So, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see. I don't think this. Let me know. Do you think this will dent even 1% of her sales this year? I honestly don't. I think it'll hopefully awaken more adults to the situation and parents to wonder what kind of messages are my kid listening to these days. I doubt she'll even get one of those cliche. I don't even know if they have. They probably still have those cliche little parental advisory stickers or and the little labels they used to have at the CDs. Maybe they'll get. No, I don't think that'll get added to her records or albums. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting culture news, you have anti-Israel protesters attacking Jews in front of a synagogue in Los Angeles, which is yet another reason not to live in California. I know that's reason number 9,958,745,421, but still, they seem to be adding up quite quick. Now, this was brought to us thanks to ViceGrid24. This is a quote, breaking, anti-Israel protesters are physically attacking Jews in front of a synagogue in Los Angeles. And this is also originally reported thanks to the Los Angeles Scanner, which give them a follow really quick. About 1 minute long, and again, it is obviously not good. Now, I always try to look at the silver lining of the situation. It doesn't look like anyone was detrimentally injured, or I don't see anyone passing away or anyone. There's no reason to have a disclaimer on this video, is what I'm saying. There's nothing too violent. So obviously, I don't think it's child friendly to show this, but just my 2 cents in that regard. It's only about a minute long, and they've got it's pretty chaotic. So you have almost like people using almost having flashbacks to when you were a kid playing with the Christmas wrapping paper roll with your friends. They have 2 young guys with flags, and it looks like they're using that as like a lightsaber battle. They're in t-shirts. A lot of people with the towels on their faces, which should invest in Bed Bath. Well, wait, no, they went Bed Bath & Beyond went bankrupt. Never mind. The Container Store, not financial advice, but I think they sell these rags. And spoiler alert, it's Palestinian flags as well as Israeli flags. Yeah, yet another reason not to rely on the police or anything like that, because this chaos is happening in the streets, and I don't see anyone stopping it. ski mask and the pandemic mask. First time, years, I see a man in a suit. As all men should. Looks like a rabbi, but spoiler alert, he actually looks like he actually tries to stop the fight and pulls a gentleman off another gentleman. Yep. I'll say I called it, but the one guy in a suit tried to break up the fight and is pulling the two gentlemen apart. So again, there are a couple kind of congested gentlemen, or not gentlemen. Again, they're not acting like gentlemen, but they're men who are fighting each other. But then it doesn't look like there's just one side attacking each other. You have people are throwing punches all over. And it went pretty viral. And again, another reason that community is important, because again, oh, it's also California. Police are busy oppressing people. Oh my gosh, your car, that exhaust is too loud. Let's give you a ticket. I only partially joke in terms of the resource allocation of police in California. But yeah, it went viral. Got 3.3 million views and 19,000 likes. It's quite a few to say the least. See here. Going down, one of the first comments is, once an angel says, "What are you doing, LAPD HQ? Are you letting this happen?" Yeah, that's the official. They attacked the official Twitter account for the Los Angeles Police Department headquarters. Oh, they're busy giving people tickets for driving too fast and having exhaust too loud, or businesses not, having a drop of oil on the ground. Heaven forbid. And that got 1.3 thousand likes. Eddie says Jews all over must stand up and refuse to be pushovers. We cannot let the Holocaust repeat itself, even though it feels like we're inches away. Stand strongly and proudly for your freedom and religion. Getting 243 likes. Let's see. Charlemagne Meow. Interesting name. How many flags does this person have? Interesting. So, their profile description is... What? Their pronouns are furry, female part, high priestess for gay satanic rituals, redacted. Very unique description of this person, who also has the Canadian flag, the Ukrainian flag, and then Israeli flag in their profile. In his cartoon picture, it's not really a cat, I don't think. They say, quote, "This is why we wear the neck diapers. They need to hide their identities." Getting 871 likes. Which, that profile picture, or that profile would have only been even more entertainingly confusing if they also had the Palestinian flag. But nevertheless. Yuluda Tietbaum says, "Why are the police standing and watching?" It looks like, is this another camera angle where you have the police? What do you call it? Is it the Amish sweep, where you have gentlemen standing side by side? You all walk across the field looking for stuff like glasses, pocket watches. It looks like they're doing that, but on the street. From this perspective, the police, I can't tell if this is the same protest, or not even protest, it's got violent. The police, So it looks like they're just doing the sweep on the street, and people with Palestinian flags are walking away from the police. I don't see the police. Again, in a specific angle, in this specific video, I can't tell if it's even the same street. That did get 1,000 likes. Going down more and more. Lost says Los Angeles isn't safe for anyone but homeless and illegals. They are being treated like kings. Getting 340 likes. Well, yes, they get free apartments, free food, and yeah, it is interesting the resource allocation and preferences of the government. Let's see, scrolling down more and more. Path of Devutikik says, going to protest on Eco Robertson is clearly a provocation. They're going there because they know that's where Jews are, but it's just anti-Zionism, right? Getting 427 likes. Let's see. PA Girl says, "Where's Karen Bass or Gavin Newsom? I bet if they were in black community were being attacked, they would have called the National Guard. You get what you vote for." Getting 357 likes. And yeah, it is interesting to see where the government will and will not intervene. I can't but remember the George Floyd, Summer of Love riots, where over $2 billion of property damage were done. and several people lost their lives. And you had many mayors saying, "Oh yeah, just let them work, let them tire themselves out." And yet, both sides of these people reelected those morons. Well, that's not even moron. That's evil. They know what they're doing. They're not. Well, some politicians are stupid, of course, but in those situations, they're just evil. They're saying, "Oh yeah, just let the rioters keep going. Let them tire themselves out." You also have Jesse Burkhart said, "People like this claim that Zionists are getting the greatest threat ever, but I rarely see Zionists arrested and detained for being this violent." That did get 625 likes. See here. See here. Allah Pasha says, "Anyone who supports terrorism is a terrorist. Anyone who supports Hamas must be a terrorist." Getting 1,000 likes. Quite a few to say at least. So it is sad to see this cultural decay where, again, a lot of violence and very little being done. And I can't imagine trying to live a life of peace or just live in I was about to say San Francisco. Let's be honest, San Francisco and, what do you call it? Los Angeles. Hard to say what the difference is. Let's see, you have the NPC guy. Nevada Liberty, 1864. I think I followed these folks. Do not? He has a picture of the NPC guy, and it's 2020. He has the mask. Then it takes out the brain chip like a robot. It has the George Floyd, replaces it with the Palestinian flag. Then the NPC is now angry with the kitchen towel thing, which that got 135 likes. Let's see. He's all Nevada Liberty. Yeah, that's a lot of memes. He's got enough memes. But yet, I mean, yet another reason, again, not to live in California. But it'll be interesting to see, culturally speaking, will we see less, I don't see this conflict resolve anytime soon. I mean, there have been observations about this since, for decades. It'd be nice if the violence were to stop. We'll see what happens. And culturally speaking, United States, it'll be interesting to see, I mean, at what point because there's a pivotal point where a peaceful protest does become violent, of course. It'll be interesting to see how quickly those are stopped in the United States, or are they just allowed to happen more and more in terms of, stopping them as soon as you get to that pivotal moment. But let me know, are you surprised for seeing an increase in violence in places like California? Let me know in the comments, because as always, I would be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Biden banning Kaspersky antivirus software in the United States. All 18 customers will be sorely disappointed. That's only partially kidding. Well, not really. Now, this was brought to us thanks to Fox Business, or Fox, which is somehow still in business. This is their tech column, importantly, and this is a report by Kurt Cullinson. They say, quote, "Kaspersky's security software is banned in America. What you need to know." Hopefully there's the iconic Kaspersky logo, which, again, they've been around for quite some time. And given the whole Russia-Ukraine instance, I'm not too surprised that they're actually trying to ban this, or they are banning it. Now, I'll be interested to see in terms of the enforcement, how is it going to pan out in terms of, well, wait a minute, we have many people who bought the software throughout the years. I mean, how is it going to pan out when you literally have customers? Is it just going to be turned off? Because again, some cybersecurity solutions, you can technically do that. I mean, back in the day, you would get software on a disk or a CD. Back in the day, slap that thing in your computer. Computer, unloads the disk or downloads the files. Man, it works. That's before you're connected to the internet pretty much 24/7 with your device. Nowadays, the software as a service, or SaaS. Well, now you're constantly getting that service from that hosted solution. And yeah, there are pros and cons to that, of course. But I mean, what cons is you could kind of just turn it off. So now, again, this comes to us thanks to Fox Business, and they say, quote, "Kaspersky is getting banned in the U.S. after the Bureau of Industry and Security conducted a review of the company's cybersecurity and antivirus transactions. The IAS noted that the company poses, quote, unacceptable risk to the United States national security and the security and safety of its people," unquote. Which, again, I would love to know the report. How many people are really using this? Like, my IT company has been around for nearly 7 years, and at one point, Kaspersky was a pretty good solution, pretty good bang for your buck, but I never actually met anyone who used it. Again, that's anecdotal experience with my, working with businesses, small, medium, large in Texas. But again, even like if you're looking for like a lower entry price point product, I mean, a lot of people use ESET for like home security, which I don't recommend. Better than nothing, of course. But I've never met anyone who actually used Kaspersky. Have you? Let me know in the comments if you have. But yeah, I'd love to see the spreadsheet if they did an analysis of like how many Americans will be, affected. It won't be a lot. I especially think that because again, if a lot of Americans were to get pissed off, it'd be bad for politics. So they wouldn't want that to happen. Just like every politician takes calculated risk and they look at the statistics on what their decision will have an impact on. Well, at least you would argue most politicians do that. Now they say that the main concerns are Kaspersky's connections to Russia and the potential security weakness in Kaspersky's products, and the chance that Russia could exploit these weaknesses. Which, again, if you're a deal, there are certain rules, stipulations of doing business with the U.S. government, as well as doing business with the U.S. government contractors or subcontractors or defense contractors like Lockheed Martin and those companies like AT&T, companies that have huge national security implications, or they work directly or indirectly with the government. There are a list of things you are supposed to do and are not supposed to do, and they will blacklist some devices and they'll blacklist some software. We saw this with the Huawei ban, where again, U.S. government employees could not use Huawei devices because, spoil it, they're just Chinese spyware. But yeah, interestingly enough, with Kaspersky, I never saw it. And if it's just someone at home, I don't know. We'll see. Now, they say that the announcement, BIS has specifically listed 5 risks Kaspersky poses to national security. Kaspersky ties to Russia are a major concern. BIS states that Russia is a foreign adversary that poses ongoing threats to the United States. According to this agency, Kaspersky is under jurisdiction and control of the Russian government, allowing it to access sensitive information to U.S. consumers. How dare they? How dare you? Only Google can do that. Kind of a joke, but not really. They say that other reasons were given for Kaspersky ban, including the software's ability to install malware. Kaspersky software allows for the capability and opportunity to install malicious software and withhold critical updates, which, well, that's any software. But they say that, quote, the manipulation of Kaspersky software, including a U.S. critical infrastructure, can result in data theft, espionage, and system malfunctions. The products also threaten economic and security and public health of U.S. potential, resulting in injuries or loss of life. Which, again, if you're a major infrastructure, energy company, or defense company, you already can't use this. Now they say Kaspersky's ban in the U.S. shouldn't come as a surprise since the firm has been on the government's radar for quite some time. In 2017, the U.S. banned the use of Moscow-based cybersecurity firms' products across all government agencies. Seeing a lot of parallels here. So again, I'm actually surprised at this news because, again, it's very similar with Huawei. There used to be a time where you and I can go to a place like a Best Buy if we hated ourselves and want to shop there. Only partially kid, but they had Huawei devices all over the store. But then the U.S. government started to go, well, government employees can't use this. Now we're going to say federal. Now we're going to say, yeah, no one can use it. Stop the imports. Now, there's the response. Kaspersky says, quote, for 26 years, Kaspersky has succeeded in its mission to building a safer future by protecting over 1 billion devices. Kaspersky provides industry-leading products and services to customers around the world to protect them from all types of cyber threats, and has repeatedly demonstrated its independence from any government. Additionally, Kaspersky has implemented significant transparency measures that are unmatched by any of its cybersecurity industry peers to demonstrate its enduring commitment to integrity and trustworthiness. The Department of Commerce decision is unfairly ignores this evidence, unquote. Which, yeah, they say that. I mean, that being said, someone could, even if that's true right now, given the resource allocation of the Russian government, I'm not saying it is not out of the realm of possibility that the government could overtake the software. I don't know how much I don't know what the odds are that it would happen or what kind of upside there would be. Now, in terms of, again, the ban trickles down versus federal, it was the government, government employees can't use Kaspersky, now it's going down to us. Well, or actually companies like me who are resellers of technology that specifically, I'm trying to think if we ever got, I think we got authorized in when I first started the company, I signed up for the law companies for authorization. I think it got authorized, but I never used it. I remember that much. Now they say that, what does the Kaspersky ban mean for you? The Kaspersky ban essentially means that you will not be able to purchase any of its software products, and if you already own one, it will stop working. Starting July 20th, Kaspersky and any of its partners will not be able to resell or license cybersecurity or antivirus software in the U.S. U.S. resellers who already have the products in stock will be able to sell them, but only until September 29th. Which, yeah, that's, again, in terms of having them, having products in stock, that is a benefit of software as a service. You know, if you want to sell a glorified, think of it as a virtual CD, or everyone knows what a download is, like you're downloading an iTunes song. Oh wait, no one did that. They just used LimeWire, which is also terrible for computers. But I partially digress. Yeah, it's not great news if you have physical access codes to this. So like if you go to somewhere like Micro Center, if you're an end user, it's very popular, or Best Buy, very popular places for you don't need that business grade technologies. Well, they'll have like a little stack of like basically gift cards, but they have access codes for cybersecurity, such as ESET is a popular one for consumers, as well as Kaspersky. So if you have all those physical cards, you have until September 29th until it just won't work. Now that being said, if you sell it, it will probably start working sooner than you think, because again, I suspect they're just going to blacklist the entire thing. They're just going to shut it down. Now, they say that, quote, it's worth noting that while BIS has banned mostly Kaspersky products, some have been exempted, that these include Kaspersky threat intelligence products and services, Kaspersky security training and products and services, and Kaspersky consulting and advisory agencies. Existing Kaspersky customers will have until September 20th to find an alternative, and the company will no longer be able to provide antivirus signature updates after this date. Which, yeah, if you're a business and you bought it, that's quite disappointing. Imagine if you're a business and you buy, because again, a very common in business practice if you're buying enterprise solutions is they'll offer a little bit of discount if you do, they'll bundle it with multiple years. So a lot of people do, commonly a 1-year agreement, 3-year agreement, a 5-year license agreement. And usually the benefits there are that they lock you into original price, so they don't have to jack it up every year to keep up with inflation. Back in the day they did crazy discounts. I think those days are long gone, thanks to our government ineptitudes with inflation and other variables. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, hopefully if you bought it, yeah, find a replacement soon. The propensity of this actually being being turned into a weapon by the Russian government, I'm not sure how much it is really, and it'll be interesting to see. I'd love to see the financial analysis of like what percentage of all Kaspersky sales were from the U.S. The U.S. is one of the largest markets, especially for enterprise technology. But again, people have been moving away from that product for so long. Even 5 years ago, people were moving away from Kaspersky. So again, there are a lot of great alternatives in terms of cybersecurity. And I mean, in that case, I just never recommended it to clients. But let me know. That'd be fascinating to hear. I mean, have you heard of Kaspersky? Would ever use it on your personal device? Well, I guess do you wish you could, because you soon will not be able to. And another great reason why businesses need to be involved in politics. There used to be a time where politics were so small no one gave a damn because it really didn't affect anything. But nowadays, again, every business. You have seen other Russian companies leave that country to actually stay afloat. Like Veeam was, believe that was one of the most popular ones ever, where they 99% sure they were started at the region, but they actually moved to another country, and they've been wildly successful ever since. And maybe Kaspersky tries that. That I think that would not be out of the realm of possibilities. That I think would assuage most concerns, especially again. I'm not sure what this would do in terms of. I'm not sure how they would go legally, but if Kaspersky were to really relocate all their operations to the United States, then I think they could actually. Then I think the government would probably okay it. Now that is also problematic. You got people moving their whole lives across the globe, and then of course how much market share is left for antiviruses, especially rudimentary or not to be insultive to their offering, but more lower end ones. It'd be interesting, but as cliche as it sounds, as always, let me know in the comments. I would be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have the White House communications lead is now a non-binary person, director, and they are, of course, not suited up as all men should, and this went viral, as you might say, thanks to libs of TikTok. Now, she says, quote, the new White House Associate Communications Director, which seems like a very redundant role, but nevertheless, is on the left, which, you have a gentleman, lots of chest hair and a tattoo of a turnip, I think, with a purse, small, looks like a mint-colored purse, or I don't know what you call it. I don't know what style it is. The only one I know is clutch, because I know cars have it, so that's the only purse style I know. So I'm going to guess it's a clutch. And it's a silver dress, standing with a bald man with, and I would say F minus, or double F minus for marketing or fashion. He has those weird, like, rectangle hoop earrings, which, those earrings, I always thought, like, you're just asking for something to catch them and tear your earlobe off. I never understood the apparel of that, of course, and this is all very bizarre. And, of course, this looks like to be in a public place. I don't know if this is in a club or something, but it's certainly not in the bedroom, and it's certainly, most Americans would say, highly unusual, and most people would wonder, is this the most qualified person on the planet for this specific role? Or is the Biden administration, yet again, choosing people based on their lifestyle, their choices, whatever you want to call it, as we have seen before, historically speaking? I forget what it was, but they had the bald crossdresser who stole luggage like 5 or 6 times until they finally fired him. Which, again, if you're stealing luggage, and this gentleman was stealing women's luggage and wearing their stuff at home, yeah, I won't say it's a big red flag, but it's a giant red flag. This person needs mental help. If you're stealing luggage, and that part I digress. Again, this went viral, got 5.3 million views and 17,000 likes. Now, Lives of TikTok also says, quote, some more photos of Tyler Cherry. What? His name is Cherry? That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. This person's name is Cherry. It's almost as dumb as something like Topping as a name. Oh wait, I partially digress, but nevertheless, going back to this individual's background, says no, some more photos of Tyler Cherry and some of his past tweets calling police slave patrols and ICE to be abolished. And geez Louise. Someone gifted this man flowers. Men don't like flowers. That's probably the biggest red flag of all. Many pictures of this person wearing dresses, dressing, and then being a DJ. Oh, well, at least one of them is kind of a suit. Something that, was it, not Cinderella. It was a bad guy or bad gal from 101 Dalmatians. Cruella. Yeah, like a Cruella DeVille. Wow, talk about memory, core memory unlocked. Like a Cruella DeVille black and white pinstripe suit, almost like you're in jail. There's one picture of the suit, okay. One picture of him in like a skirt wearing flower petals. All in public. That, I was going to say, that follow-up got 10,000, what was it? Or no, 620 likes. One of these tweets. Wow. This person now works for the government. This person says, quote, police equals safe patrols, voter ID equals poll taxes. Hey, NAACP bombing equals KKK bombing. Neither slavery nor Jim Crow were that long ago. We just evolved. Person also tweeted, quote, apt time to recall that the modern day police system is a direct evolution of slave patrols and lynch mobs. That's from 2015, that tweet. Also says, quote, as well as for queer people of color and the intersectional role that race and sexuality play in police brutality, healthcare, etc. Abolish ICE. All tweets from this individual. They now work for the government. That being said, I can't help to think who else would hire this person these days. And let's see here. Yeah, now, hilariously enough, the most normal picture of this person almost looks like Weird Al with actually perfect teeth. I'll give him that. It looks like a Weird Al picture. And it says, the new White House Associate Communications Director got his degree in gender studies. The biggest red flag of all, a useless degree. Because again, how does that degree generate any value for society? I dare someone in the comments to tell me how you get an ROI, aka return on investment, foreign words for many college graduates. How do you get a return on investment for that? And this person's on, what else do they say? They say hashtag fairness means asking folks for their preferred gender pronouns before assuming. Check out what else. What does this mean? AYI? Oh, AE? I've finished my gender study minor. Senior year is getting real. And he says, excited to hear about, wow, this is an old tweet from 2014. Excited to hear about Facebook's expanding options for gender identity inclusivity. An extra picture got 1.5 thousand likes. Oh, of course, this person also comes from Media Matters. Worked there for 2 years and 3 months. How many tweets does this person have? Everything about identity, as well as the police. Let's see. Tyler Cherry also has many tweets complaining that there being too many white people. Of course. Ooh, interesting. Tyler put out a tweet backpedaling all of his previous tweets before closing comments. He didn't specify what tweets he changed his views on. A sure sign someone is acquiescing from responsibility. He's trying to erase the past or delete comments or cut down comments. Granted, most of the comments on my videos are usually derisive. However, critical feedback is greatly appreciated. Yeah, nothing as mentally vacuous like shutting down the comments and being indefensible. Oh wow, Tyler just deleted all of his tweets. Interesting. Thankfully, the internet is forever. One of the first comments comes from Paul Zupa saying, quote, "Don't take your children to the White House," getting 502 likes. Clown World simply says, "America is finished," getting 1,000 likes. Arthur Eagleman says, "This is not decency," getting 665. Or do we make it evil? 666 likes. The Texas one says, "Hide your luggage," getting 116 likes. Planet of Memes, again, today they're 0 for 1 because they did not respond, in fact, in meme form, but in text form. Nevertheless, this alleged Planet of Memes says the literal definition of decency. What? The literal definition of decency? Got 58 likes. Moon Spoon said it's spreading fast and Smokey the Bear. It got so many likes I have to attempt. Might be a futile attempt, but I will attempt the Smokey the Bear accent. There's a picture of Smokey the Bear pointing at you, holding the shovel, of course, and he says, quote, "Only you can prevent Democrats from turning your state into California." Unquote. A little bit Hulk Hogan in there, I think. But nevertheless, that got, well, I didn't get 307 likes, but that post, the response, did get 307 likes. Yeah, Sassfress84 saying, "What a joke and disgrace. I feel like the whole world is a stage and we are the actors. America is falling under this administration." This picture of Joe Biden, it says, "Voting for Biden because you don't want Trump to be president is like eating a dog turd because you don't like broccoli." I got 1.7 thousand likes, quite a few to say the least. Mike Engelman says the administration is becoming Sodom and Gomorrah, unquote, getting 1.4 thousand likes, which, I mean, that's a metaphor that's probably lost on most Americans these days. I don't think, let's just say the Bibles, for better or worse, might probably argue for worse, are collecting copious amounts of dust these days. More pictures of Tyler Cherry, who does not look cherry at all, as I would understand. Bring a chain choker necklace and more hoop earrings. What is with this guy? Again, they're not, hoop earrings are terrible tactically speaking. Someone just rip it off here. I partially digress. Let's see here. Eddie says, "Yep, Tyler Cherry is a radical leftist who promoted Russiagate, called for ICE to be abolished, compared police to slave patrols, and is pro-Hamas." Got 553 likes. You have Don Marie saying, "He will fit into this disgraceful White House. Biden and the Democrats hate us." And it's a video compilation, only about 6 seconds long, of Christmas, Easter, and Pride Day for the White House, where you have very much inappropriate things for children with, what is it, like the Easter Bunny's twerking inappropriately or something in front of the Easter Bunny. You have the Christmas with all the cross-dressing people. You have the trans man who, is that the right term? Trans man who ripped off the top and showed his augmented breasts for the White House. Got 154 likes. A Butter Life simply says, "This is just another reason to wake up your neighbors, coworkers, and any friends that only watch the MSM. Nothing like this gets reported on. Decency really is on the ballot." And then it's a picture of Jill Biden saying decency on the ballot, and then it's a compilation of Hunter Biden, the bald guy that used to, dress up in dresses and steal luggage. The Democrat who had adult relations in one of the U.S. official buildings, recorded it, and of course, I don't think it had any ramifications. And you have, what's it got? There's was it a general who transitioned to a lady? Got a lot of virtual signaling going on there. Rachel Levine, I think that's a new name for it. Got 750 likes. There you go, more pictures of them. Rather Not Say is a profile that says, "Let's not act surprised. Remember these two freaks. Diversity." Yeah, there's a picture of Rachel Levine and the creepy looking guy that, again, would steal women's luggage to put on their undergarments, as well as dress up in dresses. They got 310 likes. Yeah. Trying to find any contrarian statements. Bruce Ballo says, "I'm so disgusted. This is our government," getting 584 likes. One Bad Dude says, "Seems about right. Joe Biden is sick and supports sickness," getting 425 likes. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if this actually helps Biden in the polls. I mean, because again, there are millions of Americans who think you should hire someone not only based on their qualifications, but you should hire them because of things they can kind of not control, or the lifestyle choices, whatever you want to call it. So again, this might help Biden out, mostly in places like San Francisco and Los Angeles, probably. But again, will that overall increase those numbers in the polls? I can't help but think probably not. And they keep also saying the quiet part out loud, where they say they're going to hire someone not based on their qualifications, but rather the things that they cannot control. The most famous one being the They actually nominated someone on the Supreme Court. Biden said he's going to elect a black woman. Not saying he's going to pick, again, if he said the quiet part out loud. You should have said you're going to pick the best candidate possible for our country. Should have said he picked someone who believes in the U.S. Constitution. Nope. Chose someone who cannot define what a woman is. I'm not joking. That actually happened in the United States. You have someone sitting on the Supreme Court who cannot define what a woman is. When they're asking her questions before the nomination, Ketanji Brown, they ask her, can you define what a woman is? Which is important because, especially legally speaking, in terms of what the Supreme Court does, there are a lot of rules and laws that actually are greatly impacted by this significant differences between men and women. And during the questionnaire, she said, I'm not a biologist. She can't define what a woman is because the ideology is drilled into her head so much. That is quite concerning to say the least. And yet another reference to the great book 1984, where they redefine language and they basically to tell you, don't believe your lying eyes. I mean, do you think overall will the U.S. swing the pendulum back? And given this person's background, I mean, they work at Media Matters, which again is very much a leftist institution. Do you think this is the most qualified person for the job, or are they just doing it for votes and poll numbers? Let me know in the comments, because as always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now go right over to the business sorry about that. A little typo there. Going on to the business blunder of the day, you have MyCharge recalling over 500,000 phone charger due to, well, little virus breaking out, which is not great. Much of us thanks to Kate Gibson over at Money Watch. Specifically, they're recalling 567,000 chargers sold at Costco after two homes. Well, the two homes kind of burst into flames, which is not great to say the least. And here's a little picture of that specific phone charger right there. And yeah, not the best name for the company. It's called MyCharge. Perhaps it's too much. But nevertheless, they note that, quote, a Michigan company is recalling 567,000 portable battery chargers sold at Costco nationwide after 120 reports of product overheating while charging, while devices linked to two residential fires as well. The recall invokes MyCharge Power Hub all-in-one 10,000 milliamp hours portable chargers with model numbers. Well, these are very uninspiring. I'm not sure who's in charge of the marketing department. But nevertheless, check your model numbers now. The model numbers are A010FK-A. Also A010FK-B. Or A010FK-C. They say that the chargers were sold at Costco stores and online from January 2022 through November 2023 for about $40. MyCharge disclosed Thursday in a notice posted by Consumer Reports Safety Commission. They said that the Birmingham-based Michigan company said it had received 5 reports of the made-in-China chargers overheating, including 2 fire homes. Costco also received 115 returns of the charger, with customers mentioning melting, expanding, smoking, fire, burning, exploding, or sparking. Now, the silver lining of the situation is, and granted, I like to tell people, if you squint hard enough in life, you'll eventually find that silver lining. In this particular case, there have been no reported injuries from them or anyone that needed medical attention. Now, granted, it's one of those things where physical things are pretty easy to replace most of the time. So again, there's some house fires, but no one has been detrimentally hurt from this. Now, if you want to reach out to this company to see if your specific, just to make sure your specific model is or is not affected, you can call the company at 888-251-2026. Again, it's 888-251-2026, or you can email them at compliance@mycharge.com. Again, compliance@mycharge.com. And yeah, this is a very big business blunder for a couple reasons. Obviously, you're upset with consumers, but having returns for retailers, I won't say this is a deathbed for your product, but depending on that return rate, they're not going to do business with you again. Because again, Costco is losing money on this, not just with their brand reputation being hurt a little bit, because again, if you're carrying a product, you have some responsibility in terms of you're supposed to also be checking quality assurance, and you're kind of putting your brain and your brand behind it. They're going to lose money not just fiscally, because again, they have to deal with the return of the product. You're paying an employee to work on that transaction, taking that resource away from other folks. And yeah, that's a lot of returns for Costco. I'm not sure who's in charge of the quality assurance, because again, this product is being used as intended as a charging bank, and yet you have all these electrical issues, which again, one of those things where the quality assurance on these things, you should just put it through hell and back to make sure it can meet an overwhelming majority of all the safety standards and all the safety mechanisms are working in place, so you don't have these instances happening. So yeah, MyCharge having your product just burst into flames and having multiple issues of recalls. Gotta say that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.